Hi everyone, this is Spencer from Measuring Success Right, and today's episode will be a re-upload of an episode with Mary Lake from last year, 2020. In the spirit of the Olympics, this episode is a great conversation about the balance of sports and life. If you aren't familiar with who Mary is, she is an All-American volleyball player who played for BYU. She gives some great points and insights on getting out of our comfort zone and growing from that. It's a great episode, and we hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to Measuring Success Right, the official podcast of the Marriott Student Review, a podcast for students by students, where we connect the leaders of tomorrow with the issues of today.
Welcome to another episode of Measuring Success Right. I'm Mark Sherman, and today we have the opportunity to hear from Mary Lake. Mary is a 4-year starter and All-American NCAA volleyball player at Brigham Young University. She has helped lead the BYU women's volleyball team to the Final Four in 2018 and the Sweet 16 in 2016 and 17. In 2019, Lake joined the United States national team, helping Team USA win the Volleyball Nations League and qualify for the Tokyo Summer Olympics. Recently, she has taken her passion for volleyball into coaching. Mary is currently putting on a camp for high school girls to learn the basic, intermediate, or advanced skill sets of volleyball. Not only is she a decorated volleyball player, but also a dedicated student. Just last month, Mary was named as the WCC Scholar Athlete of the Year. She has majored with a Master's of Accounting at the Marriott School of Business, and on top of it all, Mary married her best friend Jeffrey just a few months ago in March. Mary, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So let's start with that. Your marriage, it was just a few months ago during the COVID pandemic. Tell us a little bit about that. What was it like?
Oh, it was just pure chaos the entire time. We planned on getting married in April. I'll just give you the Spark Notes version. We planned on getting married in April, and as we were driving down to a bridal shower, BYU shut down and everything started shutting down, and the panic set in. And then my mom, who's kind of outrageous and likes doing the fun, crazy thing, convinced us to get married in our front yard. So we've been civilly married, and we're really happy about it, and just waiting for this all to be over so that we can be sealed.
Yeah, well, it is definitely a crazy time, and I feel like so many people have had to adapt, and it's amazing how many people have been able to still, get married, continue the lives the best they could, but it definitely sometimes is a bit chaotic.
Yeah, seriously.
So, Mary, you're a very dedicated and also decorated volleyball player. And tell us a little bit about how you got involved with volleyball. Was it at a really young age, or did it just kind of grow with you in high school?
Yeah, so my oldest sister, Melissa, she was playing volleyball in high school, and I was really young at the time. She's about 10 years older than me, and I remember just going to her games and being in awe. And the high school coach, he was also my coach. He's been there for a while. He told me that when I would be in the gym at the practices or the games, all I would hear was a little thumping on the wall, because I would be on the second court where no one could see me, and I'd just be playing with the ball like the whole time. And also, when I was really young, I just have a memory of going into my garage and just playing with a volleyball for hours at a time. And my dad told me that my wall was just black until a few years ago when he painted it over, because I was always just trying to play volleyball the most I could. So that was when I was about like 7 or 8. And then I officially started playing when I was 12, and I joined a club volleyball team.
Wow. And so you played in high school, I assume, and then obviously a very successful career with the NCAA. But how did you get involved with Team USA and helping us qualify for the Tokyo Olympics?
Playing with Team USA was never in my dream box. That's what I kind of explained it as. So I just never thought I was good enough, or that was an option. It wasn't really a dream of mine. But last spring, the coach, Karch Karai, he showed interest in me. I kind of went to a USA tryout just to be on a collegiate team that would go travel to another country just for a week or so. And he told me he wanted me to come out to California to start just trying out and training with their team. And I was kind of like, oh my goodness, is a commitment I want to make. It's something I want to do. And I decided I wanted to give it a shot. And so I went down for the summer and I trained with them for the summer. And I really think I, by far, was just a little fish in a big pond. But I think Karch saw some good attributes in me that were like teamwork and a good team player. And so they wanted me to be on their Nations League team. And so that's kind of how that got started.
That's amazing. I don't know. I feel like a lot of college athletes, they have a lot of these expectations in the NCAA, let alone Team USA and everything that you've done to help the USA qualify for the Olympics. Did you ever feel expectation of students or staff?
Oh, all the time. As a college athlete, your whole life is expectations. Dang, it's like I love athletics and I loved being an athlete, but there's always an expectation, whether it's for yourself or a coach putting on you or even fans of, oh, winning this next game or how I'm going to practice today or what my attitude is like every day. And so I think your whole life is just balancing expectations versus shutting those out, because expectations can be kind of harmful to your mental psyche. And so, it's crazy to me now that I'm pretty much done with volleyball, that there isn't that competitive outlet, or there's not those expectations on me. It's kind of like a breath of fresh air, but I also I miss it. I kind of miss the stress, and I miss navigating that aspect of life.
How were you able to balance these expectations while also being an accounting student at Brigham Young University, where it's highly competitive, along with your social life and other aspects?
I think from an early time in my college career, I figured out that my priorities are really important. So my first priority is always spiritual, and these were kind of taught to me by my volleyball team. And then the second is academic, third is volleyball, fourth is social. And I think I just figured out how much emphasis I needed to put on each of those things, right? And when I was in the accounting program, I needed to focus a lot on school, but I really felt like when I was trying my hardest at school and I was giving school a lot of my effort, that's when I was playing good volleyball. And that kind of sounds weird because it was like I was giving more, so you would think I would have less to give in volleyball. But I just felt like when I was putting my mind to school and when I was accomplishing and when I was studying my hardest, that's when I felt motivated and excited about volleyball. And the accounting program is a beast in of itself. But that was my favorite year of college, I would say, my junior year, where I was starting this junior core that our professors actually tell us that we're not supposed to have a job, that you work more than like 10 hours a week because you wouldn't have enough time to do school well. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my goodness, my job for volleyball is like 30 hours a week or more, 35. But I just took it head on, and I would say I found really good friends, just a few of them who I knew were always there for me. And I took lots of bubble baths and I prayed a lot, but really it was putting those things that I needed to put first, and then finding time for myself to recharge. And then once I recharged, I could do it all over again.
Wow, that sounds like a full schedule, to say the least. So what would you say the most valuable lesson that you learned was as you were balancing volleyball and school?
The most valuable lesson that I've learned with volleyball would be just how important people are. And that's not just, it's my teammates, it's my coaches, it's girls who come up to me after volleyball games and they just want to talk to me, or it's my family. I just learned that people are so important and everyone is different. And I know that's kind of cliche, but I had this clicking moment where like I am just a side character to all these people's lives, and they have so many things going on. They have struggles and they have insecurities, and if I can do anything to ease those, or if I can build people up, then like that's all I really should be doing. Volleyball and awards and all that stuff will go away, but if I can like look a young girl in the eye and tell her that I think she's important and that she needs to be confident at that stage of life, like that's so much more valuable. And even in accounting, like I passionately love the accounting program at BYU because of how great the students and the professors are at humanizing the experience. They're constantly reminding us that we are good and that we are doing our best, and that's all that's asked of us. And just both of those two things at the same time was just a reminder that like humanity is human and we're all just doing our best. So I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned. And with that, people would probably look at a college athlete, or even me, people think that I don't know, I think people would think that my life is like squeaky clean, but it's not. And it just taught me that everyone's going through some stuff, and that we can, I don't know, it's kind of a rambly answer, but I really felt closest to Christ and my fellow brothers and sisters and people while I was in my high stress moments of volleyball.
Yeah, I think that for me personally, when I'm in these high stress situations or busy situations, it really requires me to seek out help from God, and I think it really is important that we have those connections with others so that we can each help each other out on our journey here on earth, So thank you for sharing that, Mary.
For sure. And when I was in my junior corps, my schedule was so tight packed. Like I joke now that I had to schedule in bathroom breaks, which is definitely an exaggeration, but that's how it felt. Like I went from early morning workouts to accounting class to squeezing in homework with my awesome classmates who I love, and then to practice, and then recovery, then eating and homework. And then I would come home and it was like, oh my gosh, I can light candles, I can read my scriptures, and I would look forward to that every single day, which I miss. I miss like the structure of, oh my gosh, I love reading my scriptures right now because that's the only thing that I'm doing in the day for myself. And so, yeah, I agree with what you said about you have to hold on to God when you're in those intense moments.
Yeah, I was actually interviewing David Ball about 2 weeks ago. He's a tennis player.
I love David Ball. He is such an awesome human. He's great.
He is. And David said something interesting. He said when he had less time throughout his day, it required him to prioritize, and he actually would get more done because he didn't have time to be idle or anything like that. He had to be on his game with tennis, with his social life, with his dating, with his school, with everything that he did. And I think it's sounding the same with you. Even though you had this incredibly busy day, you were able to prioritize and be really diligent in everything that you did. And so you took this passion for working with others, and you are now organizing a camp for, I don't know what the ages are exactly, but I'm assuming around the high school aged group for volleyball.
Yeah, middle school to high school. It's coming up in a couple weeks, and I'm equally excited as I am throwing up nervous.
Well, how did this come to be? Did you just, after the volleyball season ended, were you just wanting to jump into the coaching career?
Well, I've actually never really desired to coach just because I see how much work it is. I respect my BYU coaches so much because they give so much. But this summer I was at a family cabin, and I was with my cousin who has a lot of great ideas Caleb, if you're watching this, I love you. But he gave me that. He was like, you should really do a camp. Like, I bet so many girls would sign up and you could teach and you could make some money and it would just be a win-win all around. And I was kind of like, no, that's a little outside of my comfort zone. The thought of organizing everything kind of stressed me out, like organizing the gym, organizing the dates. And I was like, I don't know. And then everyone started ganging up on me, I feel like, in the best way. Like, I loved it. But everyone was like, you need to do this. We're going to force you to do this. And so I kind of got excited about it and started calling some people and got things going in motion. And I really love coaching. When I was at BYU, we had summer camps that obviously aren't going on this summer, but we had summer camps that the volleyball players would all coach at and get paid. But it was a lot of coaching and standing and giving feedback. But I hated it and loved it because I loved being with the girls and coaching, but I was giving so much that by the end of it, I was dead tired. And so I was just like, I know that when I coach, I get something out of it and the girls get something out of it. And so even if this is the last one because it's a total fail, and even if I make no money or if I make negative money, I think it'll be worth it. And so I'm pretty excited.
Okay, so is this a 3-day camp? Is this a week-long camp? How long is this camp? Tell us a little bit about what do these girls do at your training camps?
Oh yeah, this will be a 4-day camp, but it's going to be pretty short sessions, like 2 to 2.5 hours long and per day. And that's because the girls have high school tryouts the next week. And so I don't want to tire out anyone. And it's going to be a little different because a lot of camps are heavy game focused. So it'll be a lot of like playing and 6-on-6s just to get the girls reps. But for this camp, I just figured I want to give them as much volleyball knowledge as I can. And with that, there's not a lot of room for small games. And so I just want to teach, and I want to teach girls all the skills that most of the skills that I've learned at BYU and the things that will really help them to be good passers and defenders and players. As well as I am kind of really passionate. If you ask my husband, he'll know I'm really passionate about this, but I'm pretty passionate about like young girls are so malleable and that's such an important age of their life for choices, and you always make better choices when you're confident, and instilling self-confidence at that young of age will completely change your course of life. And I wish that someone had like shooken me by the shoulders when I was younger and told me to have more confidence. And so it'll be skill focused, but I also have like take home exercises for building confidence. And I'm just going to try to like yell at the girls that, yeah, volleyball is awesome, but just be confident in yourself and be a good human. And so there'll be some of that also included in the camp.
And so where do you see your future now that, I mean, you have the Olympics? Is that something that you're going to be involved with further? Are you going to continue this passion for coaching, with accounting? I mean, there's so many questions. I know this is kind of the year of playing it by ear with everything going on, but where do what's the future of Mary Lake?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Probably going to invest in a magic 8-ball so it can tell me my answers. I'm just kidding. That was supposed to be a joke, but it wasn't really funny. I think that I actually decided to not continue with volleyball. The reasons for that are just, it was never really in the future plan for me. I always thought that after college, I'd just be done. And I was pretty tired at the end of my college career, and I felt in the deep part of me that I just was ready to move on. And the thought of moving on and doing the other things that I had planned wasn't scary and it wasn't sad. It was kind of exciting. Like I was excited about accounting. I was excited about focusing on other things that I loved. And so I don't know, I'm thinking probably I'll start my accounting career for a little bit. I also realized this summer that I love coaching and that being in a high school gym is really fun. And so I might pursue that, but yeah, we'll see.
Well, we look forward to it. We look forward to seeing all of the accomplishments in the next few years for you. And so, Mary, kind of just wrapping up, our podcast is called Measuring Success Right. So, in your opinion, in your life, how do you measure success?
That is a really good question. I love that that's the name of the podcast. I've listened to a couple of episodes and it's interesting to see everyone's answers. For me, I would say that success is growth. And that is such a big theme that we have at BYU Volleyball, that you can mess up and you can fail as long as you're growing. And we want that success we want that failure because growth is way more valuable than just accomplishing something. And so even with my volleyball camp, my dad keeps reminding me that this will be such a good learning experience for you, even if it's not that successful or even if it's really hard. And I think I usually take that approach in life that if I grow in this thing, then it was successful. And if I'm developing as a person, then it was successful. And so I really strongly believe that success is growth.
Wow, I love that answer. I think that is one of the best answers that I've heard in a long time about how we can really measure our success. So thank you for that, Mary.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Well, thank you for joining us today. It's always a huge treasure to be able to hear about the lives of many of our students at Brigham Young University, but especially yours and everything that you've done to make the school such a great place with our volleyball team, but also with our culture. And we thank you for that.
Oh, that's really nice. I love BYU. I'm a Cougar through and through.
Well, please keep us updated on your future. We're excited to see where now Mary Bennett, now that she's recently been married, goes in the next few years. So thank you for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
This has been an episode of Measuring Success Right. Thanks for tuning in.
Make sure you subscribe to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or SoundCloud so you never miss an episode. Be a friend and tell a friend about measuring success right.
This podcast is a project of the Marriott Student Review at Brigham Young University. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Marriott Student Review or online at marriottstudentreview.org.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect official policy or position of Brigham Young University or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.